Hey, what's up, all of you beautiful subscribers? Welcome back to the Chapple Show. What we're going to be talking about today are 6 middle-class money traps. So these are 6 things that will prevent you from achieving a higher level of success and wealth and kind of keep you stuck at that middle-class area of income. And, you know, it's tough these days, the middle class. It's, you know, more people are living paycheck to paycheck. And so these are some of the reasons why and some of the things that you should avoid. So here's one that people do not think about, that I don't talk about very much on this channel, is people who stay at the same job. So if you stay at your same job, actually I read over a few studies on this actually in North America, and one was done in Europe. But pretty much what they said was that if you're between the age of, 24 to 35, even 40 years old in some of them, is that if you stay at the same job for more than 3 years, in fact, if you stay at the same job for a decade plus, odds are you'll be making substantially less money than if you had changed jobs every, I think it's 2.8 years to every 4 years. That's an ideal timeline to change jobs when you are in that young adult phase. And so there's a few reasons why I think this is. The studies went into a few of these reasons too. Of one of which is that people don't ask for raises when they stay at a job for too long. So that's one of the things actually that should be another item on this list, is that if you plan on staying at the same job for a long period of time, make sure you ask for incremental raises. So for some people, that's going to be 2 to 3% per year. Some of you, it's 4 to 5, 10, 14% per year. Depends on your company, depends on what your skill set is, and depends on what you, pretty much what you've done at the company and whether they value it. So another thing too is that if you work at a company for long enough, yes, they will like you and they don't want to hire anyone else, so they'll try and get you to stay. But sometimes they just take you for granted, in the sense that I'm paying this person $48,000 per year, $42,000 per year, $34,000 per year. If I give them a $500 raise, that should be enough for them. And we'll keep payroll roughly the same, because at the end of the day, I understand it from a business owner's perspective in terms of you want to make sure that the company can grow and have more employees, but at the same time, you got to take care of your people. So a lot of the times, if you go up and ask your boss for a raise and the company's doing really well, a lot of the times they'll say yes, because they don't want to hire someone else. So assuming you're doing a good job. Anyways, staying at the same job for more than about 4 years when you're a young adult. So the actual number that I found out from all these studies was it's between 10 and 20%. I averaged it out to 14%. So if you change jobs every 2 to 4 years, odds are you will make 14% more money every time you change a job. So if you change jobs 5 times versus someone who stays at a company from the time they're 20 to 40, odds are you'll be making substantially more money, almost double in some cases, depending on what your job is. Obviously, double would be tough, but at the time you're 40 years old, if you keep changing jobs, then if you stay at the same job. Because think about this, what your parents taught you, what everyone taught us, was that you stay at the same job, you work your way up, and over the course of 30, 40 years, you retire, you get the gold watch. You get the gold watch and you get that retirement and pension, and depending on where you work, and that's it. That's what you're supposed to do. Just work your way up and work really hard, and people value it. Nowadays, it's not like that anymore. People nowadays, actually, if you're older, that doesn't necessarily mean you're better for the job. In the old days, it meant you had the experience, you had the knowledge, you knew how to run stuff, but now we got the internet. We got people now that have so much more skill than older folks. I mean, some of the young people know how to do so much stuff that once people get old, they stop learning skills, and it's just tough luck. Young people are kind of both underpaid and are not overvalued, but are valued. Underpaid and valued, I should say, right now. Anyways, we should move. I spent too much on this topic right now. Let's move on to the next one here. So what I'm trying to say is, think about changing your job every 2.8 to 4 years. It'll also statistically, I looked this up too, people are statistically happier when they change jobs every 2 to 4 years. They stop complaining. It's the psychological benefit of change. Good, even neutral change usually results in people being happier than if you stay at the same job or if you stay at the same place, just with almost anything. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing here. Okay, so not thinking long term. I couldn't think of a better way to put this, to be honest, because it's a very broad category here. But my example, what that I was trying to think of was let's say you get a new job, you're a 25-year-old and you need a car. You need a car to drive to your job because maybe there's cheaper rent outside the city and there's no buses around or something. And you need a car. You need a car, so what do? If you're a typical young person, what they do is they go to a dealer and they will buy a 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 car. And for new, it'll be $25,000 for a decent entry-level car. $22,000, $23,000, they'll walk off with it, and all of a sudden, they kind of realize, oh, wait a second, I didn't need this $25,000 car. What I probably could have done is gone and got a used car for $8,000 to $12,000, been just as happy, it would have served its purpose, and I can use that leftover $10,000, $20,000, $10,000, $15,000 and do something with it. Invest, save, do something else. So people who buy things, oh, sorry, my notes here are gone. So people who buy, who buy new things, buy new cars, that's usually people not thinking long term. And people want the new shiny thing, like even clothing and things along those lines. So just because I spent so long on the first one, just think long term. Whenever you make a purchase, make sure you take into account, can I get something of the same value for much less, that serves the same purpose even though it's not as shiny. Even think, yeah, like clothes are a big one. Getting old video games sometimes can work for a lot of gamers out there. So it really depends. Depends on who you are, what you do. Let's move on to the next one here. This one is something that I do, but I can afford to do it. Eating out / delivery. I don't get a lot of delivery, but I do eat out a fair bit. So eating out / delivery. So I was doing the math on this for myself. This is a big one. I bring this up a lot. It's a middle class trap. So for me, I eat out almost every day somewhere, just one meal a day. And I usually go to McDonald's or something like that, some terrible place that's, bad for you, but not every day. I'd say 4 days a week. And I'll go get some burgers and it comes out to like $9. $9 for my meal. And I don't eat it 365 days a year, obviously, but I did the math for 365 days a year. So if I eat out every day, got that $9 of McDonald's, over 365 days, that equates to $3,285 that I just handed over to McDonald's. Meanwhile, I could cook my own food or get my own, I could cook a meal for about $2. $3 for a similar meal for making some burgers, about $3. And that's a big savings. That's thousands of dollars. So for someone, I know avocado toast, that was a big one 2 years ago. The people were spending $18 on avocado toast in San Francisco. That's an extreme example. But if you're the type of person that gets delivery a lot and now likes delivery services and has to order $25 worth of stuff from Amazon or Walmart to get the delivery, it's a lot of money. Or Uber Eats, you have to pay the driver. It's a lot of money, what I'm trying to say here. So if you were to get delivery even a few days a week, that's thousands of dollars still. If you're getting an $18 meal, $20 meal. So that's something to think about. That's one of the reasons, that's one of the biggest money burners that I went through ever. But again, I can kind of afford it. So if you are struggling to get by right now, that's one of the things you should consider cutting out if you can. Even if you know what, here's one of the things you could do. Just for like 6 months, just try and, it might even be better to get some crappier food than fresh delivery, that food that might be better for you. Go for that for 6 months, invest the money that you save, and maybe all of a sudden you can, maybe with some interest and some stock savings and some using that money to invest in yourself, get some new skills, maybe all of a sudden you get a better job and you can afford to get delivery every night. I mean, I was one of those people that got delivery every night once upon a time. Now I just kind of eat out because it's just easier for me. Because I'm just, going home from the gym, I just want a burger and stuff like that. But anyways, that's too much detail about myself. Let's go on to the next one here. The next one is, I almost got caught with this one this year. I won't go into details, but I had this a few years, problem with this, not a problem, I was lucky I had this a few years ago and this year, was the emergency fund. So whenever anything changes in your life, if there can be random events that occur. You could get sick, you could lose your job. If you're starting a business, your income could get cut down substantially just overnight. Maybe a client leaves. A bunch of things. Your car breaks down and you need your car to get to work. You need an emergency fund. So typically I say a couple $1,000s. Always have $2,000 to $3,000 just put away, not in your checking, or it can be in your checking if you're a responsible person. Put it in a savings account, whatever you want to do. Just have $3,000 accessible that you can take out and use all of it at any time. For some of you, it should be more. Some of you, it could be a little bit less, but I shouldn't say less than that. $3,000 isn't a ton of money for emergencies anymore. So again, this is something that bailed me out years ago. I had, $10,000, $14,000 or something in my fund. This was 5 years ago or so, and I got sick, burned through all of that. Had to pay for medication, a bunch of stuff, and I couldn't work, burned through it. I got better. Things got really good after that. So it's important to have an emergency fund. I don't know where I would be. I would have had to take out debt, take out a loan or something to pay for medicine. Like, it's weird. That would have been weird. And that's better in Canada. We live in Canada. We don't get all of our prescriptions for free. Get some of them for free. It depends. Anyways, that's too much. I don't want to get into that too much. But emergency funds could be for your car breaking down. Could be, anything. So I recommend $3,000. For me, I had 14 and I went through all of that once upon a time. So it's up to you guys. Whatever you guys think is good, but I would say minimum $3,000. Also, 6 months is actually a good amount. So in terms of, that's your emergency fund. Now you should always have enough money in the bank to sustain you for 6 months. That's a separate thing. That's not an emergency fund. That's kind of like I call it a runway. So you can 6 months, where if you get fired, something happens, you break a leg, don't want to go to work or something like that, have 6 months and have 6 months available so that you can pay rent, utilities, food, groceries, heating, all that stuff. That's it. So whatever that is for you, could be $10,000, could be 20, could be 5, could be 100. I don't know. Have 6 months. Okay. Not investing. This is a big one. A lot of people now these days don't have enough money to invest. And it's understandable. If you usually you can have enough money to invest even if you're paycheck to paycheck. If you were to cut out, usually almost everyone has done one of these things wrong, or spending too much money on dumb stuff, delivery, not thinking long-term, buying the new car, eating out, getting delivered, all that stuff. Usually if you cut out one of those things, you can save enough to start investing within a few months. So I recommend your starting investment should be $500 minimum. Now you could even do a little bit lower with cheaper trading apps that only charge you a few dollars to make your first investment. But I say $500, that's where you start to see a decent return. You could even do $200 now, but I still say minimum $500 in one go. And over time, think about it. Again, I've done this a billion times. I've said this a billion times in my videos. Putting $500 a month, $1,000 a month, investing it in some, relatively safe investment, not Bitcoin. Usually in the stock market, you can do real estate. You can do whatever you want to do that's a relatively safe investment as long as it's not Bitcoin. And over time, that's what makes millionaires. That's what makes statistically the most millionaires, is by just having a big investment account or buying a house or investing in real estate. That's what creates millionaires. It's not, coming up with, most millionaires are not small business people. Most millionaires are just people who bought a house and invested properly. That's it. And you just do it properly for decades, have good discipline, and all of a sudden, you retire a millionaire. Now, there's a lot of in between there in 4 decades, which, really, I won't get into that too much in terms of, is it worth it? I would say yes, for the most part. It also takes a lot of stress away from yourself if you invest properly and have a lot of savings. So let's move on to the next one here. But investing, just invest in safe stuff. You've seen all my videos, you guys. If you haven't, go check out my stock market videos. I've made hundreds of videos on stock market and properly investing. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so investing in, CDs, savings accounts, and bonds. This is one that I don't talk about too much, but it's relatively important. So certificate of deposits, savings accounts, and bonds. These are things that have pretty much no return anymore. Back in the old days, when your parents would invest, they'd put, even your parents or grandparents, they put a lot of money in these things. They'd even put 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, depending on how old they are, sometimes even more if they're really old. They put it into things like those, and they would get a decent return. When I was a kid, those things would even get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% sometimes. And now you get 2, 3, 1, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth putting your money, unless it's pretty much just a glorified checking account, all of those things that you get fees charged for if you want to withdraw early. That's what it is. That's what they are, for the most part. So I would say, yeah, just stay away from, if you're going to put your money into those, make sure you know what you're doing. I would say you should probably invest your money instead of putting your money into those accounts. I always, like, savings accounts are to me, are just not, they're just dumb now. They're just dumb. The high interest savings accounts get you 2% a year. Who cares? 2% is nothing. You can get triple, quadruple that in the stock market. Some years you can get 10 times that if you're lucky. 20% is obviously extremely high. It's happened. I've done it before. It happens. But again, investing in these, I mean, think about it. I mean, there are examples of people putting all of their money in savings accounts. Instead of investing it, they have $5, $10, $15, $20,000 as young people. I've seen this happen. And they've had it in there for 4, 5, 6 years, and you get, what, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, but that's it. Imagine if that money was invested in the stock market and then the money you made from that was reinvested. All of a sudden, even over the case of 5, 10 years, that $20,000 could be $25,000, $30,000, and that compounds over time. And so putting your money into these is just, it's not worth it anymore. It's not. I say only use savings accounts right now for discipline. That's really it. Bonds are nothing anymore. You don't get anything from bonds. It's a glorified savings account in that you can't withdraw from. That's what bonds are. So that's going to wrap this video up. There's obviously so many more money traps that I could get into, but these were some ones, especially the staying at the same job. These were ones that people don't think about, that I haven't talked about too much, apart from the eating out delivery. I know I talk about that a lot, but that was important enough to include. So what do you guys think? What are some of your money traps that you can think of? Leave a comment down below. And are you guilty of any of these? Are you guilty of them? I mean, I said my only guilty one on here is pretty much eating out. The most part, I do the rest of these pretty good, including, even though I've worked for myself for the past 5 years or so, I pretty much add something to my businesses and change the businesses every year. So things are going okay. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Yeah, you're all very, very beautiful people. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that like button down below. That really helps me out a lot. And subscribe to the Joisk YouTube channel, where I just make random videos about things that I find cool. But things that some are related to business, most are not. Some are science, some are just me like one of the last ones I did was on the Avengers. And it was like science of the Avengers, because I like science. And yeah, so go check out those videos and that channel down below. Subscribe, all that beautiful stuff. You're all very beautiful people. Good luck with your investing and your personal finance. And I will see you guys in the next video.